live on Facebook, and welcome everyone to day 1 of 9 days of tapping on easing the experience of surrender. And I've gone back and forth on this title a little bit because, surrender is not something to grasp for because it's actually counter to what surrender is all about. Surrender is something that we ease ourselves into, that we allow, that we release the ego so that we can experience surrender. So welcome, welcome. I'm just going to do a double check that we are live over in the Angels, Alchemy, and Human Design group. We are live on Zoom. And I'm also going to be posting this afterwards. Looks like we are live on Facebook. That's awesome. To the Angels Teach YouTube channel. So that's where the recording will be hosted both on Facebook and then also on YouTube. So surrender, what a big topic right now, huh? I had not planned to actually do this event. It came forward kind of like 2x4 over the head last week as I was processing the energies, processing my own response and reaction to the energies, and realizing that it's just such a need in our world right now for us to surrender. And so I want to talk for a minute. Day 1 is going to be a little bit longer. For those of you who've been part of my 9-day events in the past, we generally go, the goal is to go about 15-20 minutes. And day 1 is usually a little bit longer because there's more logistical stuff to cover. So that's where we're at today. And if you see me looking in about 12 different places, I pulled the octopus card this morning. I got to share that because I feel like watching Facebook, watching Zoom, watching my notes, that I feel a little bit like an octopus. And I love octopuses. I said to Peter the other night, I think I was one in another lifetime because anyway. So let's talk for a minute about what surrender is. And it's so much about just giving way to whatever is and giving those struggles over to source, whether it's control, whether it's feelings of inadequacy or overwhelming emotions, the strive to want more. I really think that we as a society have been living in this more. And, I think that this is about giving all of that up to God and the angels. And some of the challenge can come in because the ego would have us view this as a weakness, when in fact it's really the most powerful strength that we have to create, to choose, to experience from the soul level, is to be in this space. I will give to you what I cannot carry. And giving that up, surrendering that up to source, to God, to the angels. And historically, we look at surrender, you go back at old television shows and just the history of surrender is just the white flag. It's a weakness. You've given up. But we're really being encouraged to look at it as, no, this is a strength. This is our ability to understand when we can no longer carry and it's our time to give it up. It's not ours to carry. So I want to be clear from the start that this is an ongoing task. This isn't something that we do together for 9 days and then we're done. You'll never have to work on surrender again. Not true, because surrender is the remedy for living with an addiction to the ego. And that just occurred to me this morning because I think it really is an addiction. If you look at the 12 steps of AA, they could easily apply to this addiction to the lower self. And so surrender is that remedy. And we surrender and we do the work one day at a time. And what happens is over time, we come to find out that life is infinitely easier, that the surrender comes more easily, that the experience of deep love of others and of ourselves is not only accessible, but it's really the prevailing force. So we continue to do the work, and that's why we call it a spiritual practice. It is a practice. It's something that we've got to do every day. It's a muscle. Think of surrender as a muscle. So whenever we go into that space of what's happening right now is wrong and we're fighting it, that's the invitation and the opportunity to surrender. There is so much, and I made mention of this yesterday, but I've got to say it again. There is so much Mars in Aries, warrior energy. Mars is retrograde right now. It's squaring Pluto and Saturn this week. And you know, as I was contemplating that, I was realizing that, you know, if we look at the celestial bodies as teachers, as this energy helping us, as opposed to it, you know, beating us over the head. But if we look at it as an opportunity to teach us, it's teaching us to surrender, because there's so much warrior energy streaming into the planet right now. It's like, no, 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 this isn't about fighting. This is about surrendering. And I believe anyway that that's what we're being taught, and the opportunity that we're being given here. So, logistics, and welcome to those who just came in from the waiting room. My apologies, I'm going back and forth between Facebook and my notes and the Zoom room. So I am checking on everything. As I said a minute ago, I feel a little bit like an octopus, so just bear with me if there's a little bit of delay. So logistics, we're going to be doing this every day starting today, every day at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll be doing it here on Zoom, same Zoom link. Zoom's made a lot of changes, so I just want to emphasize it's the same link every day, streaming live into the Angels, Alchemy, and Human Design group on Facebook. And I will also be posting the recording to YouTube after the event is over. So if you can't join live, the recording will be available both on the Angels Teach channel on YouTube and in the Facebook group. I will be your guide today through Friday, and then Angels Teach teacher Jamie McComas will be leading the tapping on Saturday and Sunday, and I'll be back on Monday to finish up the week. I think we finish on Wednesday, I believe. And again, we'll be spending about 15 to 20 minutes each day. I'm going to do 3 rounds of tapping plus a card pick. I'm excited. The cards have already been telling a story this morning. And then finishing things off with a blessing. So as I mentioned in the Facebook group, please continue to share what comes up for you, not just today, but as we go through the process. You can do that either in the Facebook comments, in Zoom on the chat. I am, just because of the event management, I'm going to ask you to please keep your comments written. I don't really have the capacity to do spoken at this point, but if you can do in the chat, I'd love to hear from you. Facebook comments, YouTube comments, and I will be using what you share as input into what we tap on during the event. It may not be what we tap on next, because I always follow my guidance, so it depends on what the theme is for the day. But I pledge to you that I will do everything in my power to facilitate this healing for you. Your task, and I know this isn't small, but your task is to show up and to do the work with the intention of really letting go. And I say that because, you know, we get familiar with what is. We become accustomed to these deficiencies, these warts, these experiences of pain, and they become almost like close friends, you know. And so the idea of letting go of them redefines us, and it can be threatening. That alone can be threatening and create some level of anxiety. So as we go through this, notice what triggers you, notice what sets you off, and hold that strong intention of just letting go, just letting it go. And of course, you know, giving it up. So as you're letting go, you're giving it up, because in doing that, you're asking for help from source, from your angels. All right. What else did I want to share here before we dig into the actual tapping? I did want to say, okay. Yes, I think I already said this, but just to be clear, what comes up for you may not feel like it's directly related to surrender, but share it anyway if you feel guided to, because anxiety can forward, grief can come forward, you know, all kinds of emotions that mentally feel not attached to surrender can surface, because you have to remember that Emotions are not logical. You can feel both joy and sadness at the same time. We think we can't, but we can. So emotions are not logical, and everything's connected, you know? So you could be triggering some other aspect of healing that needs to happen for you right now. So tapping how to, for those of you who have not done EFT, emotional freedom techniques, it's very simply, this is not a how-to course, but just very simply, it's tapping on the different meridian parts of the body. And the idea is that we store in our energetic body, we store the vibration of past traumas. They could be from this lifetime, they could be from a past lifetime, they can be from ancestors, and we store them like suitcases or trunks in our energetic being. And by stating the intention and tapping on these certain spots on the body, we release, we access those vibrations and we release them. And very quickly from this, and why your input is so important as part of the process, is that you can tap, and I explained this a little bit yesterday in the Facebook Live, but you can tap on something and say the vibration is here of that thing that you want to tap on, but your specific experience needs to get as closely as possible, because what you're wanting to do, and this is from like just a physics perspective, is to match that vibration. This is similar to homeopathy. You want to match that vibration so that it can be released and let go. Because if you kind of get within this range of not exactly there, it's going to not necessarily be as full of an experience as you would like. Which brings up the beauty of group healing, because so many times when we do group events like this, one of the most powerful things that happens is that tapping for other people gets at stuff that you have that you didn't even know that you had. Because we are these energetic bodies and we carry, again, our own stories, but also those of our, like I said, past lives, ancestors, and also the collective. And there's so much happening in the collective level right now. So do your own thing as we do tapping. We're going to get into the tapping in just a moment here, but do your own thing. So if the language that I'm using does not resonate for you, use your own. I really encourage people, I'm not going to do it here because YouTube wouldn't be too happy, and I think Facebook wouldn't either. But when you feel the need to drop an F-bomb or to swear, because maybe you never do that out loud, but if you're saying it to yourself, matching that vibration, that's where you need to go. So use the language that feels true and right to you. And just know that even if you're not following along exactly with what I'm saying, that I'm holding the space, we're all together holding the space for your healing to happen. Okay, so let me just check any questions before we move on here. Looks like we're good on Facebook. And YouTube is not, that's a public, thank you. That's a public channel. So anything that's happening right now, yeah, and you guys are, because of the way Zoom links, and I don't think you guys are public, those of you who are here live. And I will make sure of that. I mean, that actually, that privacy is top priority for me. So I want you guys to feel that safe container. So I will double check, but I'm almost certain that once I start the recording and put the video just on me, that you guys are all anonymous. So, and I will make sure of that. But the YouTube channel is a public venue, yes. And Facebook is too, but it's a little different because it's a little more controlled than YouTube is. YouTube's like big. All right. So our card for today, I brought my laptop, my things into this healing room space. And for those of you who have been through anything with me to do with cards, you know that when the cards fall on the floor, which they did, they slipped off the table, you really pay attention to what's coming up. And so I'm using this beautiful deck, the Spirit Song Tarot, really, really lovely deck by Paulina Cassidy, pardon me. And the two cards, all of them, like half the deck fell on the ground, and two of the cards were face up. And the one that was on top was the Empress. And the message from this card, because my intention is that whatever you guys need to know, the Empress is feminine, of course. She's about rulership, of course. And she's also about wisdom. So it's about understanding that this healing that we're embarking upon is about imparting wisdom, not healing on ourselves, so that we can show up as the Empress in the world around us, so that we can be whole. You know, you look at this beautiful bunny, and I'm very drawn to this halo thing happening behind her, and it feels like it's about wholeness. You know, and so that's what this healing facilitates, is our ability to show up in a more holistic way as the wise people, as the wise light workers that we are. The second card that came up is the Six of Crystals. Crystals is the element of earth in this deck, and gratitude and synergy. And I don't honestly know, I should have looked it up. I don't know what these little guys are. Are they, if you guys know, drop it in the comments or the chat. I want to say ocelots, but I don't think no, ocelots are like a cat. Anyway, so they're cute, and they're standing up, and they're alert. And, you know, I think it's so much about, look at them smiling. It's like they naturally smile. And I think it's about being grateful for the healing and for the opportunities that are here for you, and really taking advantage of the opportunities that are here for you. Meerkats. Thank you. Awesome. So those are meerkats. All right. So let's dig into the tapping. And again, for those of you who have not done tapping before, oh, and Barb's saying on Facebook, prairie dogs. So I will double check that tomorrow. But, you know, either way, beautiful, beautiful animal energy. So for those of you, again, repeating myself here, who have not done tapping before, just follow along as best you can. This is not rocket science. Yes, there is a process here. I need to keep my glasses on. There is a process here, and just trust that you're going to get what you need to get. You know, that's surrender right there. You're going to get exactly what you need to get. So tapping on three things. The first thing that came up, and this wasn't specifically shared by any of you guys, but I was heavily guided to start here, and it's on sorrow, the topic of sorrow. Sorrow for the state of the world, for grieving whatever we feel we've lost, whether it's for this year or over lifetimes or inherited from family. You know, I personally come from a lineage of people working to change the status quo, whether it's starting over completely in a new country or standing up strongly for women's rights. And I share this because under all of that, from my lineage, is deep sorrow that initiated this desire for change. And so even though this all happened generations before me, I feel that sorrow. I've carried it. And I know this is a big theme right now for a lot of people, is clearing that ancestral lineage. So yes, this healing is about you, but understand, and honestly, it can be very liberating when you realize that some of this healing that you're doing is not something that you that you inherited. It is something that you inherited, and not something that you created you alone yourself. So it's going to be collective, it's going to be ancestral, it's going to be past life, and yes, this lifetime. All right, so let us begin here. I invite you to make sure you, not right now, but in general, going forward, make sure you have water nearby. And just so as we begin, just allow your body to ease into this space. Settle into your body. And just allow whatever it is it's going to be for you. Tapping on the outside of the hand, You can repeat after me as you are guided, or just sit and listen to these words or change them to be what you need. Even though I am filled with so much deep sorrow right now, and so much grief for all that's happening in the world, and I don't understand why people can't just get along. I deeply and I completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Even though this sorrow and grief that I am feeling feels ancient, and I'm not sure that I can really do much about it, because I am just me. I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Even though I am feeling this grief deep in my core, like it is wired into who I am, and I don't know what to do with it, I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Tapping the inside of the eyes, don't know what to do with this grief. Outside of the eyes, feeling so much sorrow right now. Under the eyes, so much sorrow for where the collective is at. Under the nose, so much sorrow for where humanity is at. On the chin, so much sorrow for myself. Inside of the collarbone, so much sorrow right now. Under one armpit, so much sorrow. Under the other armpit, so much sorrow. Inside of the eyes, it runs deep. Outside of the eyes, it runs deep. Under the eyes, and I am grieving. Under the nose, and that's okay. On the chin, I surrender to this grieving. Collarbone, I choose not to fight it. Under one arm, I just allow it. I choose to be one with it. Inside of the eyes, and learn from it. Outside of the eyes, teach me grief. Under the eyes, teach me sorrow. Under the nose, I am listening. On the chin, with love. And the collarbone, and an open heart. Under one arm, I am listening. Under the other arm, and I surrender. To the top, the crown of the head, because I deeply and I completely love, forgive, and accept myself. So just allow whatever is your experience right now, surrender to that. During tapping, you may feel a shift through tears, through a body sigh, even laughing sometimes, or you might not feel anything. You know, how tapping affects us, and I didn't actually talk about this, is that, you know, sometimes we don't experience anything right away, but when 3 months later we're triggered in the situation, or in a situation where we would have been triggered in the past and we're not anymore. You know, it can really get to us from access our healing in miraculous ways. So just be open to whatever experience is there for you. All right, let me just check in quickly on Facebook. All right. So that felt like a big one. And what we're going to do next, I'm going to do 2 more rounds of EFT, and then we're going to do just an affirming, clear the energy kind of thing. So the next 2 are going to be a little bit shorter. They're on control. And I know control, wanting to control, it's a big one. I get it. And we're going to be chipping away at it over time. So these are things that people actually had shared directly. And for purposes of anonymity, I'm not going to share who it is, but these are in response to your words. Tapping on the outside of the hand, even though I feel the need to always be in control. And I feel like a kid who's kicking and screaming my way through life. I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Again, repeating after me, even though I feel the need to always be in control. And I throw a friggin' temper tantrum when I can't be in control. A part of me just kicks and screams. I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Even though there's an inner child inside of me who wants her own way, damn it, and who gets angry when she doesn't get her own way. I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Tapping the inside of the eyes, I feel like I'm kicking and screaming my way through life. Outside of the eyes, my inner child is so loud. Under the eyes, I've given most of my authority to her. Under the nose, my inner child is making the decisions. On the chin, calling the shots. On the collarbone, it doesn't seem like such a wise decision. Under the arm, I need to release that by listening to her. Under the other arm, by understanding what she really wants. What my inner child really wants is to feel safe. And the irony is that safety comes from surrender. We're under the nose right now. Safety comes from surrender. Because by surrendering, we've turned it all over to God. And we are really living in faith. And there is no space for control of the ego, or control by the ego. Top of the head. And so I surrender fully and completely because I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Didn't really expect it to go in that direction, but I guess that's really a hallmark of it being the right place, because I just allowed it to come through. Inner child stuff, really, really beyond the scope of today, but so important to be paying attention to the inner child and what's going on inside. You know, who's driving the bus, and if it's the inner child, you know, what is it that she or he is wanting to accomplish, you know, and listening to that. And that's a whole journey in and of itself, and another more than even a 9-day event. But just realize and be aware if there is an inner child that's needing to be heard and listened to. All right. So Christina's chiming in. Part of me says there's no room for faith and surrender. It won't change anything or get anything done in a good way. I know that's not quite true, but yeah. Well, I mean, this is where the ego's like, well, you're telling me this? No, that can't be true. So there's this inner battle. And Marissa, she wants to feel loved and lovable. So, you know, maybe I have to sit with it. But, you know, maybe there's a lot of people who do inner child work out there, but I'm also getting a glimmer of guidance to do a meditation to just connect with the inner child and find out what it is that she wants, and to have that conversation, because ultimately what it becomes is this dialogue between the higher self, which is, you can think of as the loving mother or father, the loving authority, but you know, guide, it's a better word, the loving guide, just sort of wrapping their arms around these inner children and allowing them to just be. Yeah. Too scared to even know or hear. Yeah. And that's okay. A lot of times, and I'm going to invite you guys to do this, because this, I know you can do, is to just sit between today and tomorrow, just sit with your inner child. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to listen. Just be witness. So if she's too scared to even know or hear, just sit with her. It's amazing how powerful just simply being the witness can be. It's huge. All right. So I'm going to do one more. I was going to do one more. And then the affirmation. Okay, I'm just getting my instructions here. We are going to do this last one, and then we're going to go right into sort of what I like to say, it's like balm on the wound. It's like the bandages, because we're opening things up here, and releases are happening, and then we want to just make sure we go back in and surround ourselves with so much love and peace. All right. So tapping on the outside of the hand. Even though I am angry when I don't get what I want. And just repeat this after me as you are guided. And there's so much that I don't want right now. I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Even though I get angry and upset when I don't get what I want, I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Even though a part of me knows that this anger is perpetuating the fight and my struggle with surrender, I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. Tapping the inside of the eyes, deeply and completely. Allowing the anger. Allowing the anger to release. Letting go of the fight. The fight against the anger. The fight that is only perpetuating the struggle. I release that fight. And I open the door for courage. I open the door for faith. I open the door for strength. I open the door for guidance. I open the door for love. Love of myself. The healing kind of love that I can share with others. Top of the head, because I deeply and I completely love, forgive, and accept myself. We're going to do just one last tapping round here. This is, again, just affirmations. And I know that last round danced and went into affirmations, but I want to just go more directly on that right now to be the balm on the healing that we've done here today. We're going to do tapping on the outside of the hand just once this time. God and the angels always know better than I do. I surrender to their guidance here and now. Tapping the inside of the eyes, I am so very loved. I surrender to this love. I surrender to faith. I surrender to goodness. I surrender to joy. I surrender to peace. I surrender to a reality that feels good. And I allow the space for God. Top of the head, because God and the angels always know better than I do. And for that reason, I surrender wholly and completely all of myself right here, right now. And that, my dear friends, is feeling pretty complete. So let me just check in Facebook land. And it looks like we're good to go there. So with that, I'm so glad. So much love and many blessings to each and every one of you. Big hugs, lots of love, and I will see you here tomorrow. In the meantime, please do share as things come up for you. Love to help you with this healing process. Be well.